The movie opens with the announcement that Malcolm River, a serial killer, will be executed as a penalty for murdering 6 people in an apartment building. While studying his case, Dr. Malik finds some of the missing evidence and thinks it can change the court's decision. He believes that Malcolm is suffering from a multiple personality disorder and is completely unaware of the crimes he committed, so he, along with Malcolm's defense attorney, requests a midnight hearing to reevaluate his case. Alice and George, with their son Timothy, are forced to stop as their car breaks down in the middle of the road. While George is fixing the car, Alice tries to talk to Timothy, but is hit by an approaching car, Edward Dakota, who is driving an actress named Caroline. Alice rushes out of the car to help her. After she is unable to call the ambulance, they take her to a nearby hotel to ask for help. Manager Larry tries to call the ambulance upon their request, but discovers that all the phone lines are dead. Edward rushes to the nearest hospital, but in Paris, Nevada, a prostitute asks for a lift after her car stops in the middle of the road. The car gets stuck in the water again, and they are picked up by a couple, Lou and Ginny, who are also on their way to the hotel. After coming back, Edward informs George that they are stuck here for tonight and cannot get any help until morning. Meanwhile, a police officer transporting a convicted murderer, Robert Maine, also checks in for a night stay. After finding no other way, Edward stitches Alice's wounds by himself, while George and Timothy anxiously observe him. He talks to George about his family. Timothy looks outside the window and spots Rhodes taking Robert inside the hotel. After coming inside, Rhodes locks Robert in the bathroom and goes up to check on Alice. As everyone settles in for the night, Caroline receives a call on her phone but can't get any signal. She steps outside her room to make a call but is attacked and killed by someone. Edwards gets suspicious and comes outside his room but finds Caroline's jewelry on the road. While checking around the hotel for her, he finds her head inside a dryer in the laundry room. Rhodes and Larry also show up after hearing the noise and find a key to room 10 beside her body. As the key belongs to his room, Rhodes rushes back but finds out Robert has escaped. They gather everyone in a room to explain the situation, but it creates panic as all of them are afraid of the killer. Edward settles down the situation and asks them to stay calm. While Rhodes goes outside in search of Robert, there is again another argument, as Paris does not want to stay in the same room as Larry. Edwards asks him to come outside and help them find the killer, but he refuses to go. Meanwhile, Ginny gets frustrated and asks Lou to go somewhere else as it's not safe here, but Rhodes does not let her go. As they look around the place, Rhodes informs Edward that the killer is responsible for multiple murders. Back in the room, Ginny is unable to control her emotions and continues to cry. Paris tries to distract her by asking questions about her marriage with Lou, but they inform her that they got married just a few hours ago. Ginny insists on Lou leaving this place, but he disagrees with her, and both go back to their room while arguing with each other. During the fight, she locks herself in the bathroom and refuses to come outside even on his constant request. She accuses him of cheating on her, but he denies it and again asks her to open the door. When she does not agree to open it, he starts banging on the door but suddenly stops. She unlocks the door and comes outside the bathroom, but spots a shadow of the killer and runs back inside. After locking the door again, she jumps outside the window while calling someone for help. Edward, Paris, and Rhodes rush over to her room, but get shocked to see Lou stabbed to death. Meanwhile, Robert tries to run away but is soon caught by Rhodes, who brings him back inside the motel. They tie him up with a chair and ask Larry to watch over him until they check on others. Although scared of him, Larry agrees to do it as they insist. Paris goes back to her room to get her stuff, but gets scared to see Edward already in there. Robert wakes up and finds Larry mysteriously locking a fridge. He teasingly asks him what he hid inside, but Larry does not give any answers. Back in the room, Edward tells Paris that he is taking photos as evidence for the murders. She thinks it's not his job, as he is just a limo driver, but he reveals he is an ex-cop who served in LA. Upon her question about why he left his job, Edward tells her he took a medical leave and never went back. He tells her that he was called to save a woman from attempting suicide. He wanted to tell her something positive to change her mind, but hesitated for a second, which she saw and jumped off the bridge. He started to feel headaches and blackouts after the incident and went on leave, thinking his job was making him sick. As he takes loose photos while talking to her, he finds a key with a number 9 on it. They think the killer is keeping count of his victims. Edward goes out to inform Rhodes about it, but finds out Larry is absent from his post and walking outside. They rush back to the room, but find out someone has killed Robert as well. They find a key with number 8, and think it's Larry who has killed him, but he denies it and tells them that he was outside and did not do it. As they confront him, he drops Caroline's wallet, which Edward immediately recognizes and asks about, to which he accepts stealing from her stuff. As no one believes him, Larry holds Paris hostage and asks them to let him go. As she struggles to get herself free, they bump into the fridge, opening its door that reveals a dead body inside. They turn toward him, but Larry runs away. He starts the car to escape but crashes George as he tries to save Timothy. Back at the hearing, the defense attorney presents the case, claiming that his client is mentally unstable and cannot be executed, as the law does not allow punishing someone unaware of his crimes. He pulls over a diary and explains that Malcolm is suffering from a dissociative personality disorder. The killer is soon brought to the room. At the hotel, Larry's investigation continues, and he tells his story that he lost everything in Las Vegas. On his way back, he made a pit stop at the hotel and found that the manager was already dead. Before he could do anything about him, a customer showed up asking for a room, so he gave him one for $30. He placed the dead body in the freezer so he could hand it over to his family, but no one showed up except more customers, and he took over the place. Rhodes does not believe him at all, but Paris and Edward think he might be telling the truth, as they don't know the real story. As they argue over the situation, Ginny scolds them for scaring Timothy, but Rhodes says it's all settled down as they found the killer. Paris does not agree with him, as they thought the same earlier, but murders did not stop even after Robert's death. Edward tries to say something, but Rhodes gets angry with him, thinking he is trying to bypass his authority in the case. He orders everyone to stay in the same room until the storm passes, and they agree to comply. While thinking about the situation, Ginny says she saw a movie in which 10 strangers ended up at the same place and started getting killed one by one, but later found out they were all connected. She thinks maybe the same is the case with them. In order to find out whether they are linked to each other or not, Paris asks Rhodes about his destination, and he informs him he is going to Carson City. She tells him she was going back to her home in Florida, while Edwards reveals he was on his way to drop Caroline off in LA. Larry tells him he is from Florida as well, and he and Paris find out they are from neighboring towns. She informs him she is going back to buy a piece of land in her hometown. Rhodes hears something and comes over to check on Alice, but finds out she is dead. They find another key numbered 6, but Edward says it's not possible as she died because of the accident, but Paris disagrees with him. As they found the number 6 key with Alice, they go back to check on George and find key number 7 beside his dead body. Paris gets shocked to see this because she saw the accident by herself and it wasn't a murder. After finding the situation getting worse, Edward asks Timothy and Ginny to leave the hotel and find a safe place to spend the night. Rhodes disagrees with him, saying he cannot let the suspects leave, but Edward thinks neither of them has anything to do with murder. As they argue, they hear an explosion in the car and flee, believing that Ginny and Timothy were injured, but they are unable to locate them inside. Rhodes yells at him, saying he is responsible because he was the one who asked them to get inside, but he denies doing anything. While coming back inside, they find out that George's body has disappeared. They rush back to check on others, but can't find any of them who got killed during the night. Paris experiences a mental breakdown and starts yelling that she just wanted to go back home before her next birthday. Larry asks about her birthday and finds out it's May 10th. Soon they learn everyone at the hotel has the same birthday, May 10th. Edwards examines the documents and discovers that each person's name corresponds to a state. He dozes off for a moment and finds himself in a room being questioned by Dr. Malik, who reveals he is one of Malcolm's personalities. He says all the people he saw at the hotel are imaginary characters he created in his mind during his childhood. He thinks it's not Malcolm, but one of his personalities that is responsible for the murders, and they should punish the personality, not Malcolm. Upon the doctor's suggestion about going back to the hotel and killing his murderous personality, he goes back and finds Paris is trying to escape from the hotel. She tries to take Rhodes' car, but finds out he is just another convict who killed the officer and took his place. She tries to warn Edward about him, but Rhodes attacks her, asking her to hand over the keys. Edward appears, and both fatally shoot each other. Dr. Malik proves his point and succeeds in getting a stay on his execution. The judge orders to take him back to the public hospital, where he can be treated under Dr. Malik's supervision. While being driven back to the hospital, Malcolm again thinks about the people at the hotel. Paris has gone back to the farm. While working in her orange field, she finds a key buried under the ground. While Timothy attacks her, it is revealed it's Timothy who has killed all those people at the hotel. Timothy kills her, while in reality Malcolm strangles Dr. Malik and kills him.